Well, okay, we're going to go by the clock in the room as opposed to my clock on my wrist. And we're going to say it's 2 o'clock. And this is a meeting of the Board of Trustees of Weatherford College. It's Thursday, May 9th, 2019. We're in the Elaine Strain Community Room of the Doss Student Center, 225 College Park Drive, Weatherford, Parker County, Texas, to consider and act on the posted agenda. And item 1, and by the way, we do have a quorum present. Item number 1 is called to order, which I've just done. So we will now move to the invocation. Ask Mr. Baker to give that.
Yes, sir. Please bow with me. We're very thankful for this year, this academic year that's coming to a close. Thank you for bringing all of these students. Thank you for the hard work of our faculty and staff. Thank you for the break that many of them are about to receive. Thank you for the work of our board. Please be with them as they deliberate and plan for the future of this college. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Let's all stand and I'll help us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Second agenda item is open forum, and we have Shelley Hampy. I hope I have that right, Ms. Hampy. And she's here to talk on the consideration of lab pay proposal. And Ms. Hampy, I'm sure you know this, but since this is not a posted item today, the board cannot take action on this.
Yes, sir.
And you have up to 5 minutes. And
I have much less than that to say.
well, that'll be great. Thank you for coming.
I just wanted to voice a concern among me and some of my fellow faculty. It's come to our attention that the board's going to consider an across-the-board pay raise for full-time employees for the coming year. And I just wanted to make you guys aware of a proposal that we are trying to put forward to correct some pay issues that we perceive as unfair pay for faculty who are not necessarily being paid for all the hours that they teach. And so I just wanted to put forth that concern on behalf of my department, that we hope that that money could maybe address some inequities before it's an across-the-board pay increase. While we would always really appreciate a pay increase of any kind. So I don't want to discourage that, but I just wanted to voice my opinion on that issue.
Thank you, Ms. Hampy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Third agenda item is President's Report. President Farmer, recognitions, employee notices.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and members of the Weatherford College Board of Trustees, I would like to give a few brief recognitions and employee notices. Recognitions. I would like to begin by recognizing WC Professor and Learning Foundations Department Chair Shannon McNabb. Ms. McNabb, would you please stand to be recognized? Shannon recently presented a professional presentation titled "The Implementation of the Weatherford College Co-Requisite Model" at the North Texas Community College Consortium Developmental Regional Forum in Gainesville. Under her leadership, the Learning Frameworks curriculum was redesigned to fit both hybrid and online courses and was also expanded into dual credit. Thank you again for your contributions. You're appreciated. I also want to recognize Ag Professor Vance Christie and the WC Agriculture students who recently won a wide range of awards at the Texas Junior College Agricultural Association Sweepstakes Contest. Mr. Christie and Elise Swanson are both with us today. Would the two of you please stand? Elise recently won first place in an ag communications contest and will be transferring to Tarleton in the fall. Congratulations to you, and thank you, Mr. Christie, for an exceptional job. We sure appreciate you. Weatherford College recently hosted a collegiate North Texas Junior College Athletic Conference regional tournament for the first time in any sport. The top 6 softball teams in the region played 11 games over 3 days, and our Lady Coyotes advanced to the semifinals. The economic impact on the city of Weatherford was very positive. The stands were at or near capacity the entire weekend, as were the parking lots. The athletes, coaches, family, and friends stayed in our local hotels, dined in our local restaurants, and shopped in our local stores. I want to again thank Richard and Nancy Stewart for helping Weatherford College build Stewart Field. Congratulations are in order for Johnny Emmons and the WC Rodeo team. This is the 15th consecutive year for Weatherford College to send athletes to the College National Finals Rodeo in Casper, Wyoming. However, this year, Weatherford College will be sending the largest group ever. 7 athletes have already qualified for CNFR, with the possibility of 1 more being invited. Congratulations and go Coyotes! Congratulations to Asana Michelle Onishi from Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, for winning first place in the inaugural Weatherford College International Piano Competition. Second place went to Cynthia Gu from Southern Methodist University, and third place went to Jacob Nidegger from UNT. 34 contestants provided amazing performances during the inaugural event. Congratulations to Dr. Song and Dwayne Durrett for making the event such a success. Congratulations to the Coyote Baseball Booster Club for sponsoring a recent sesquicentennial fireworks show. I've attended many fireworks shows in my career, and this was unquestionably the best show I have ever seen. Congratulations, Coyotes Baseball Booster Club, and thank you to our donors. Dr. Allison Stamatis deserves recognition for her collaborative efforts to celebrate Earth Day. Dr. Stamatis, the WC Science Club, Phi Theta Kappa, and many other groups did a great job of bringing Earth Day to life at Weatherford College. And last but not least, I would like to recognize Mr. Bob Glenn. Bob is a hometown retired bank executive who will be volunteering his time to assist with institutional advancement. Bob is the president of the Weatherford College Foundation and was also the 1997 Alumnus of the Year. Mr. Bob Glenn is going to help Weatherford College change even more lives. Employee notices. DMAC Local requires the college president to provide the names of contract employees that have resigned since the last board meeting. In accordance with this policy, the following individuals have submitted resignations. Nursing instructor Laura Carousel has resigned with an effective date of 5/11/2019, and Wise County Technology Administrator Dustin Capron has resigned with an effective date of 5/10/2019. We thank Laura and Dustin for their service and wish them very well in future endeavors. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the President's report.
Thank you, Dr. Farmer. Agenda item number 4, consent agenda and financial reports, and this includes the minutes from April 11th, financial reports ending April 30th, and audit services under RFQ 0118. Is there a motion to approve these agenda items, financial reports? Second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes. Thank you. Move to item 5, consideration, possible action, 2019 commitment to action. Dr. Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Earlier in the spring, Board Secretary Leila Morris, Elaine Carter, and Dr. Robert Marlette and I attended the Texas Success Center Board of Trustees Institute, and as a part of that training, we were challenged to develop and submit prior to our departure a draft commitment to action to the Texas Success Center, which we did. That draft plan was recently distributed to the entire board for your consideration and possible revision. And at this time, we would like to consider any revisions that you might have regarding that, and if not, ask the board to consider approving that commitment to action plan.
Anyone have any requested revisions or any comments? All right.
I think it includes a lot of things we need to be looking at, you know, like looking at the mission one more time and things like that. It's It's got a lot of good stuff in it.
Okay, with that said, that comment made, is there a motion to approve the 2019 commitment action plan as presented?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Or second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's approved, thank you. Moving to number 6, consideration possible action determination of method that provides best value for procurement on construction of the parking lot. Dr. Cantrell?
Okay. We're in the process of having plans drawn up for a new parking lot on where the tennis courts are over here. Before we can do that and progress forward, it is required that by law that we, that you all say what type of, whether we're going to bid this, proposals, construction manager at risk, design build, or job order contracting. Visiting with the architects and the engineer on the project, it is pretty much standard for a project of this size, as small as it is, that you just do a bid situation, and it's pretty straightforward, and it would be on the basis of best value to the college.
Okay.
And so at this time, we are recommending that, based on the recommendation of the architects and the engineers, that the Board of Trustees approve competitive sealed bids as the method of construction that provides the best value parking lot project.
Are there any comments or questions?
Was Mr. Curley, you've reviewed this?
It hasn't been presented yet.
Okay.
This will trigger it.
So you have any comment on what you said had to say?
I think it's appropriate to proceed with that process.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Marlette. Is there a motion to approve and use competitive sealed bids as the method of determining who would be awarded this agreement?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's passed unanimously, is from what I can tell. All right.
As a proposed timeline, we'll be bringing these bids back to you in July,
Okay.
and to proceed forward shortly afterwards, and then hopefully a completed parking lot in November.
Thank you.
Who will they report to, you or Dr. Farmer or the people
Construction
doing
is
the
under
work?
me
You, okay. It'll like a,
and Dr. Farmer, and we work
Yeah.
together.
it'll like a
closely.
construction manager type format.
Rhonda's involved as facility director.
Okay.
Yes, it'll be under Dr. Cantrell's, and I concur with her recommendation to move forward with this process. A project under $1 million, we want to control our labor costs associated.
So we don't need a
We don't.
contractor.
That's absolutely right. We don't.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Number 7, reports. A, preliminary budget report. Dr. Cantrell? What's that?
One moment. As required by board policy, we are to bring to you a preliminary budget in April of every year. This is the first run after everyone has submitted their requests coming in on the online system. There are many adjustments that will be made to this preliminary budget. I'm just going to give you the parameters right now, and we don't even know all of the parameters because we don't have appropriation dollars yet, nor do we have the tax dollars to know what leeway we have with it really. But we do want to show you where we are. The administration, working with faculty and staff, has worked over the past several months to develop a preliminary 2019-20 budget. And we keep in mind while we're doing this the strategic goals of the college. The attached preliminary budget that you all have totals $57,513,000 in revenue and $58,184 in expenses at this point, resulting in a current budget shortfall. But as I said, we have no new dollars from taxes, appropriations, or anything in there as of yet. And those will be coming within the appropriation shortly. And then later on, we'll work with you all on the taxes. The following summary of major changes in revenue are noted. Revenue projected, it currently shows $1,508,000 over the 2018-19 budget. Once again, the same as state appropriations are in there that we had in there for the last biennium. Student aid currently shows an increase of $523,000 due to increases in Pell and Stafford loans. Operating grants currently show a decrease of $97,461, which may be adjusted as we go on and receive notice of further grants. Net revenues from tuition and fees are estimated to increase by $984,000, and that's based upon the tuition increase that was passed earlier this year and based on this current year's enrollment. Tax estimates for Parker County and Wise County show no increase in the tax at this time. We have received preliminary uncertified tax rolls at this time, which are both up, which is very positive for us. The Parker County is at $14,149,000, which is approximately a 12% increase. Wise County is at $7,801,000, which is up, and I think that was about a 5% increase that we were looking at there. But there will be many, we'll look at many different rates of time, and of course also the hearings that are going on right now. They're required to give us a certified value by July the 25th, but there will be a lot of working on that in the meantime. Local funds others show an increase of $265,000 due primarily to increase in interest rates. I know that's good to see for a change, and with the higher interest rates that we've been able to secure at this point. Auxiliary services projected revenues have decreased by $74,000 due primarily to decreases in bookstore commissions, and that's basically a sign of the times with bookstore business, and there's a lot of competition out there. So,
Sure.
And we're also looking at different ways of bringing our literature to our students, and much of that will be online, and I know Mike Indy and his people are working very closely with that to reduce costs to the students. So that has some effect on our revenue, of course. The 2019 preliminary budget includes expenditures of $58,184,521 and shows a net increase of $2,179,000.
I think you said 58,000, you meant 58 million.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
In that, we do right now have a preliminary figure that we're working with raises. And I believe right now there's $682,000. Of course, as we go on and we see the money that will become, hopefully will become available to us through appropriations and tax dollars, we may be able to add some additional funds in there. But this is very preliminary. It's not in any way, we're still looking at salary schedules, we're still looking at other additional funding. So this is not a final figure whatsoever.
And I guess that would include what Ms. Hampy was
Yes,
talking about.
that's
Is that
on the
correct?
table if we come in with a recommendation
Yes,
in,
all right,
but we'll just have to prioritize our needs as we go along.
sure.
New faculty and staff positions, we know right now a few, we've cut back on in some areas, but they're still being considered also. Major repairs and renovations are budgeted at $1 million, which is a $400,000 increase over 2018-19. There's lots of projects going on, and we're very busy, and hopefully we'll see many changes over this coming year. We budgeted again $927,000 in the technology services for the second year. Hopefully next board meeting, if Dr. Farmer agrees, we'll bring Greg, the technology director, Greg Schrader, in and let y'all see the progress we've made since we started with the implementation of the new ERP system. We're in the process right now. This week they're working on payroll and HR, trying to have it up and running by September. So, and we also will have a registration in the fall. Business office accounting will be on board. So we've made lots of strides. It won't be completed until the following year, I believe the following year, and then a few months into the third year. but they've really been working hard. Auxiliary enterprises have decreased by $261,000, primarily due to dormitory expenses. If you all remember, in this year's budget, the security and the video system was approved, and those will have been completed by July, I think, this year. Student aid increased by $606,000 due to the increase in Stafford loans, Pell's, TPEG, and performing scholarships. The WCWC budget has increased by $199,000, but that's due primarily to a $71,000 increase in the lease at the WCWC. The others in small chunks, and some of them in raises and all that. At this time, a transfer from WCWC, which will change as adjustments are made, but a transfer from reserves of $372,000, which will be necessary to balance the WCWC budget. That will be adjusted with appropriations, I'm sure, but that's an increase over last year of $312,000, or this current year. And that's mainly due to that lease increase. Over the next few months, there's lots of work that will still go into this. This is preliminary. Next month, I hope to present the proposed, which is much closer to what we will be working on as a final over the summer from June until August. Any questions? Yes?
In the operating grants, it decreased 97,000. Are we pursuing grants at the same pace as we were before, or are we?
Yes, we have one out now. I know that we heard this last week of a National Science Foundation grant. And many of those, we do not book those until they are awarded.
Sure.
So many of them have already been applied for that we haven't heard back from
Hadn't heard
yet.
about, okay.
So that could rise.
This is just another, hopefully not irrelevant question, but on the loans, the Stafford loans, do we counsel these students about how much they're borrowing so that, with all of the talk today about people graduating with very high college debt, do we counsel them to say, now you understand, this is all you need to borrow?
That's in their area, but we do have financial aid counselors up there that do work with the students, I know.
Okay.
Anything else for Dr. Campbell?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Mr. Indy on demand study update.
Thank you. Mr. Grizzard, to answer your earlier question, you can't get a loan through Weatherford College without a counseling session about how much money you're borrowing and how much you need to go to school with. We won't approve a loan for that. So we counsel everyone. For the demand study, to give you a quick update, we've got the student interest survey back. We hope to get a few more responses, but so far, and we'll do it again, but so far for this year, 324 respondents. If we look at our total dual credit population, that's a fairly high response rate of around 13%. But this was opened up to all students and all of our educational partners. So at that rate, we're looking probably closer to 3 to 5%, which is fairly normal for a survey. And for a first attempt, it's not bad. Some initial information. Juniors were the primary respondents. We got a lot of responses from Weatherford, Springtown, and Brock. A couple of districts we didn't get any responses from yet, but those were the highest, which is not surprising. They're closest to us. The major responses coming in that are important to us, and to you, Dr. Morlett, you asked, why aren't students coming to school at Weatherford College who could? The respondents who did not choose to go or are not planning to go to college, the number one response at 44% is, I don't know what I want to study. And the number two response, about 34%, is, I don't have the money to attend. So that tells us a little bit about where we need to go in terms of looking at the student population as possible students and what we need to do to try to reach them, deal with financial issues, and focusing on programs of study that might appeal to those students. So in the rest of the demand study, workforce education activities were going on. Our interviews are continuing, and they're becoming very fruitful. We have the NSF IMAT, that's the Industrial Maintenance and Automated Technology Mechanics Grant. That's up and in the approval process. We hope to hear about that anytime from in the next few days to the next 6 weeks. That's that AI project that we're looking at. And Corporate College kicks off on May 22nd of this month. We have our ribbon cutting, and we hope we can get some folks there to see what we're doing with Corporate College. Along those lines, with the business surveys, we have a company in Wise County submitting a skills for small business grant application for Lean Sigma, Six Sigma, soft skills and CPR training. That training will be conducted this summer. We have a Developing Skills Development Fund grant application for 2 companies in welding and in advanced manufacturing, one in Wise County and one in Parker County. So our surveys and our interviews are beginning to pay off in partnerships that are producing training opportunities for our industry and for the institution. And we have preliminary plans in progress for a possible workforce facility for Weatherford College if that comes to fruition. And we're looking at what programs would fit best into that facility, what can we do. We're also looking at structural issues for the college because it's not just a matter of buildings, it's a matter of how things align. So in terms of our demand study, we've got a lot going on. That's your update for today. If there are any questions, I'd be glad to entertain them.
The districts that we haven't got responses from, do we follow up with them as to, is there something they didn't do or we didn't do to implement?
It's a first-time survey, and we'll be following up through Dr. Locke's office, the Dual Credit and E-Learning office, as well as Mr. Butler, who's working as our interim enrollment management registrar position. And we'll be following up with this again, probably in the fall of next year, and asking the questions again, so that we can put that same survey out there. Anything we learn from it to modify the survey and to determine what interests are out there. For the schools that haven't participated, it's a matter of improving communication with them and stressing the urgency of it, making some visits along the way. We can't force students to do it, and we know you don't want us to do that, but we do want to get them to understand how important it is. But it is good to know that students who are not intending to go to college are responding to this survey, and that's giving us information that is very, very difficult to capture.
Yes.
And if we get a response that says, I don't have the money, do we respond to that person with, give us a chance? I mean, come and see what we have available, or is there any, is that possible?
We know what district it came from, and we have they're anonymous, so we can't identify it
Sure.
with the student. But we can identify areas where students may exhibit need, and we can target specific activities to them, like sending our recruiters out, sending our financial aid folks out, and they love to go do that, and talking to students about financial aid, about our TRIO programs. We have lots of outreach opportunities. We just need to know where to send them when for the biggest response. And we work with our counselors. Dr. Locke's staff work very well with our local counselors to identify specific students who have needs and concerns and try to address those. As does our entire TRIO program. That group works with a lot of high school students trying to get them into college programs.
I know you want to be positive
I do.
in all this, but, when they come here, you have them here, and you can ask them questions.
Mhm.
Why did you come here? What attracted you, and so on. Is there any mechanism to follow up on those who didn't come here as to why was it the attraction of the other school, or was there something negative about them here? Is there any mechanism to do that?
I don't know if Mr. Butler's back there. Right now, because they're anonymous surveys, targeting a student who said, I'm not going to college would be very difficult because we don't know who they are. What we can do, though, is identify populations where people aren't going to school and conduct local interviews with them to say, we've got a population of students from your school. If they're willing to self-identify, could we talk to them about what's going on? And that isn't any violation of a research protocol and doesn't, because they're volunteering, it doesn't place them at any risk. So we would be inclined to do that.
You say we could do it, but do we do it?
We haven't yet because we've just begun the survey and we're
Yeah.
looking at where are the populations concentrated that are saying we're not going to come to school and why. We're trying to find that.
Have you explored any kind of mechanism that would encourage or reward students for responding?
We certainly looked at it. We didn't include an incentive for response to the survey in this initial offering, but we have looked at other opportunities. What can we do without biasing the response to encourage students to participate, incentivizing surveys? And we can look at that for our fall initiation of the survey again.
Are there other colleges our size that do things like that? Or do you know, do we?
Yes, there are other colleges trying to find the answers to these questions. And as a member of the new Texas Association of Community Colleges Chief Academic Officers Organization, it isn't just doing it independently now. Andrew Fisher at NCTC and I are having dialogues about what they're doing, what their markets are looking like, why students are making the choices they're making, and we're sharing that information.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Certainly welcome. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Indy. We'll go back to Dr. Cantrell now, Guided Pathways Report.
On April 24th through the 26th, the Weatherford College Guided Pathways team, consisting of 14 members across the college, and which consisted of faculty members, administrators, staff, attended the Texas Pathways Institute number 6. The theme of the institute was ensuring student success, the fourth dimension of the Guided Pathways model. Topics covered related to program learning outcomes and their alignment with the requirements for success of the students having ample opportunity to apply and deepen knowledge and skills through projects, internships, co-ops, clinical placements, group projects outside of the class, service learning, and study abroad. Also, faculty program assessments of whether students are mastering their learning outcomes and building skills across each program in both arts and sciences and career and technology. Results of learning outcomes and assessments and how they are used to improve teaching and learning through program review, professional development, and other intentional campus efforts. How the college helps students document their learning for employers and universities through portfolios and other means beyond transcripts. The college assessment of effectiveness and educational practices and uses the results to create targeted professional development. Overall, the conference focused on institutional awareness and an urgency to move to action by developing an equity-minded campus. They emphasized that we need to use our data to guide us in order to understand how we need to change. At every institute, we have been encouraged to bring certain core members with us to that institute. And we've made a commitment that we wanted to bring additional people across the college, every institute that we go to. We were fortunate enough this time to have our faculty senate liaison, our chair, Tanya Edwards, go with us, and I was very impressed. We all go to different sessions, we have breakout sessions, and when she came out of the session, I was so impressed and mentioned it to Dr. Farmer, and we discussed it, and we thought she was the one that could best describe to you all the feelings of Guided Pathways and how this will affect this college. Tanya, would you come forward, please?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for hearing from me. I just need to tell you, I've been invited to the institutes before, and I've been reluctant to let go of my duties here in the middle of the week to go, and I realized probably from the first opening session that I had missed some opportunities. I attended several working sessions that other colleges talked about what they were doing to look at marketable skills to have students demonstrate learning beyond the classroom. It was very interesting to see what other colleges were doing. There was a lot of opportunity for self-reflection because several things that we talked about were barriers to student success, the student's bias, but also faculty bias, and how that impacts the students and their ability to complete. When we're talking about trying to assess learning beyond the classroom and marketable skills, I'm really excited that future institutes trying to bring other faculty in from our core disciplines so they can be in on these discussions. And what I'm really excited about is the time that we had to work together as a group. I sat in a session with Dr. Cantrell and VP Indy, and title didn't matter. We all were there to talk about what the college was doing well, but really had open conversations about areas that we could improve that weren't working so well and what we could do with that. And everybody had equal input and really felt like we got a lot accomplished. And I think that was because we were away from the college. We didn't have distractors. We didn't have meetings that we had to get to that slowed us down, that we really could focus on the task at hand. And I'm excited.
I'm going back to some other institutes, and I'm excited to see new faculty coming in and being part of it. So thank you for the opportunity to go, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments?
And I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Over a career of some years, I've been to many, many conferences, and always the college paid for me to go. But every time you go, you sit and visit with people, you have lunch with people, you're in meetings, breakout sessions, and at every conference I've been to, there were always people who said, we have to pay our own way. If we want to go to these conferences, our college doesn't support us to do it. And that's happened fairly recently. As I neared retirement, I still went to our developmental ed conference, that thing. And I think it's really good to know that our college supports this and pays for 14 people to go, pays for whoever wishes to go. That probably should have been whomever, but.
And I will say the state, basic, TACC and Texas
Yes.
Success paid for the.
And it's
half of the
supported,
fees.
but there's still ancillary expenses, like people to cover classrooms and that sort of thing. And from the board's perspective, I really appreciate that we're doing that, because it's gonna change us. This whole thing is.
I've had an offer this week that came in that I really haven't met with the core members yet, or Dr. Farmer about, that they're offering to send a coach to work with us this summer if we would
Hey,
like. So
hey.
that's another
Wow,
opportunity for us,
could only help. Thank
free of charge.
Anything else?
you. No.
Anyone else? Okay. All right, we'll go to Mr. Finley. He's going to talk to us about student clubs and activities as it relates to student development. Mr. Finley. We got a technical problem, Larry?
No, limit that point for him.
Well, you can go ahead then.
Good afternoon. Today I would like to discuss student development as it relates to student life and student activities at Weatherford College. Mr. Doug Jefferson is our Associate Dean of Student Development. He heads our Division of Student Development, and he and his team coordinate 29 active clubs and organizations. Each club and organization is student-led and sponsored by an employee of the college. As you will see in just a moment, we have a variety of clubs and organizations that cover many student interests. Possibly. There we go. Additionally, Mr. Jefferson's office assists in coordinating many different student activities on campus. This is a brief overview of the yearly activities provided to our students. It features campus cookouts, casino nights, dances, intramural activities, and activities are developed to tie into social and individual responsibilities, as well as efforts to focus on teamwork. The student activities budget was cut in 2016, but has gradually risen each year with a proposed budget of roughly $45,000 for 2019. This budget helps cover costs associated with activities sponsored through student life. While the college budgets and coordinates many student activities and actively supports student clubs and organizations, getting students engaged in the student life experience can be challenging. Participation rates for student activities and involvement in clubs and organizations is low compared to the population Weatherford College serves. This is not a unique issue to community colleges, largely in part to the fact that students transition at a higher rate compared to four-year institutions. A good example is Ms. Elise Swanson, president of Agricultural Club, student government reporter, and member of Phi Theta Kappa. This fall, Ms. Swanson will be transferring to Tarleton University. In talking with Ms. Swanson about her experiences with student life at Weatherford College, she recalled positive memories and gained a great deal of knowledge, but felt getting more students engaged in student life experience was important. Student engagement is the critical piece to enhance our student life activities. One means to accomplish this goal is to involve students more in the decision-making process as it relates to student life. This is not to imply this hasn't been done or isn't currently being attempted, but with our current funding model for student activities, most students are unaware tuition contributes to student life activities. For the 1920 academic year, we will be exploring the possibility of a student fee to help support student life and student activities. State statute and college policy are detailed and the requirements to establish a fee to help support what the state statutes and policy refer to as student services. Student services can be defined as activities separate and apart from the regularly scheduled academic functions of the institution. This is a broad definition, but accounting protocols and student involvement are specific. The first step will be developing a student fee committee. Committee makeup per policy is 5 students selected by Student Government Association and 4 institutional representatives selected by the president. Should this be a direction student leadership chooses to move, fees collected will help offset costs associated with student life activities. A hurdle Mr. Jefferson's office faces is having the additional funds to replace equipment for game room and for intramurals, or to do bigger events students request, such as novelty and guest speakers. A nominal fee would exceed the funds currently budgeted for the student activities following an expansion, allowing for an expansion of these co-curricular opportunities, and allow for the Student Government Association to directly recommend how best to use these resources, working through Mr. Jefferson's office with recommendations to the Presidential Cabinet. In addition, this funding could also help support student clubs, organizations, with the purpose of generating a more robust student life experience for all students. While recommending fees isn't a popular idea, the hope is it will engage more students in the process of their co-curricular opportunities at Weatherford College. No action is needed at this time, but I look forward to providing additional details for the 1920 academic year after receiving input from student leadership. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report. Happy to address any questions.
Any comments or questions by the board?
Yes. Behave yourself, Doug. Could you bring up that list again of all of the activities? Is that all of them?
This is the yearly activities. Now, the student clubs was the slide prior to this.
Okay. We live, my main interest is the mother college here sitting on this hill. But mainly as it relates to Wise County.
Yes, sir.
And I'm wondering how it may be possible, if you've thought about how some of those activities might be involved with Wise County.
Expanding those.
We're right in the best horse country in the world, right here. Is part of the ag program, do you have a cutting horse club?
No. There's an equine program, but there is no cutting horse club. But there's an ag club, not cutting.
There's an ag club and so on,
Yes.
but does it have cutting horse? I'm just saying, this is cutting horse capital of the world right here, you know. Horses made this country. We usually forget that. Powered everything that we did, our whole economy for almost a century right here. So, through these counties. And so I'm not wise enough to know how much that would affect our student populations to come here. But I just wonder how much has been considered and if there's been any outreach to measure that and to respond to it if it's there, if there's a positive there. Another thing that some colleges do, and they're generally universities, is have polo clubs, you know, that are involved with horsemanship, and that tends to attract certain kinds of students that are generally pretty good students and usually from a background that's pretty important. So, anyway, I just wonder how much the horse plays into any of this in your all's considerations.
It's definitely worth
And
considering.
how we might take this and other things to Wise County. I'd appreciate any consideration of us doing that, doing some of those things in Wise County.
Definitely keep that as we move forward. Any student club that we have is student initiated. So we've got to have a body of students who come to us and say, we wish to start this club. To my knowledge, we haven't had a specific student group who's requested cutting horses, but a lot of times they need that encouragement, so they may be there, and we just have to help cultivate that.
I guess that'd be part of a demand study, I guess, part of it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr.
Wait,
Marlette.
wait, I have a comment.
Go ahead, sure.
Being a club sponsor while I was working, I know one of the challenges was always finding the time for the club to meet that worked with all the members' schedule, and that's very hard to do. I know years and years and years ago, we had an activity period,
Yes, ma'am.
and that made it so much easier, and it made it easier to recruit people to join the clubs. The negative side, of course, is the students that aren't involved in the clubs. They have to sit around and wait for their next class to start. But that's something to think about too, because I do see that as a barrier to being in the student organizations.
We have discussed student activities back and forth and putting it into action is the next step. It's definitely feasible. We just have to get everybody time and how long.
Yeah, that's not easy.
Well, you know, it looks like 35, 40 different activity days is really, that's good. And looks like you got a lot of different opportunities there. So, and I know that anytime students have the opportunity to increase their number of days of activities, they're going to take it, don't you think?
Yes, sir.
And if we can just increase our funds and participation, we'll be okay.
I believe so.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
I think you're doing a good job. Thank you. Dr. Marlette, thank you for your comments.
I just have one more, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I was the polo coach for the men's and women's team at Texas Tech for 12 years. And one of the things that happened was we would go down to Mexico and recruit some of those students that played polo down there to come up on our team. And anytime we would find polo students out anywhere, we had an active recruiting to get them in here. And I don't remember at any time a community college having such a thing. I know that Texas University, A&M, North Texas for a while, Texas Tech, and would be interested in having a source out of the community colleges of players that would do that. Just a note about that. It's a matter of getting out to where we can do this or not. Anyway, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I certainly know of a pretty good sponsor for that particular club if we can get it moving.
Sponsorship for the club down there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to the Vet Tech program update. Mr. Indy?
Thank you. Glad to see Mr. Deals here today from the city, and Dr. Garofalo and Dr. Welch. We've been working hard over the last month. We'll give you some highlights of things that are going on the Vet Tech proposed program. April 24th, we confirmed with the THECB the need to have specific approval for major modifications to our curricula, including vet assisting. That's relevant to the Vet Tech program because they bridge. And Dr. Garofalo and Dr. Welch have been working on curriculum alignment and how to move from our high school populations through the college vet assisting and the Vet Tech program into potential articulations for the bachelor's degree. We met on May 2nd to discuss that. There's some curricular changes that we've discussed and some things that we're going to tweak. In order to make that work, the proposed vet assisting curriculum will advance to the THECB after the SACS response to the vet tech proposal. We're expecting the SACS response sometime around July. And once we have that cleared from the Southern Association, we'll submit the vet assisting curriculum changes for that program to the THECB. Because we're already registering students, those changes cannot take effect until the next academic year, or we'd be touching to the degree that they're currently in. In addition, we had a really productive meeting with the city. Actually, there were two meetings. Dr. Garofalo met with Mr. Deal and his team, and the folks down at the city have been doing a great job on designing the two buildings. One, the surgical suite area, that is going to be unique for us and for community colleges as a training facility. That surgical suite has 4 beds in it, and they'll be moving from bed to bed and taking care of animals, and our staff, our students will learn about that operations in the classroom, in the surgical suite, but also in the classroom that they're building next door. And we got a look at the architectural plans and got to talk to the folks on the planning of that facility. Where do things need to go? What kind of wiring? What kind of networking does it require? It's a lot to put into that building. Certainly something the city has worked with, but never quite in this way in education. And we had a productive meeting with Mr. Schrader's group. So I think we're very well along the way for defining the instructional technology needs, including the capture and recording and presentation needs for that surgical suite, and what it's going to take to be able to teach from those facilities. We're working on what is the best model to make this work, because as you may not know, I didn't realize until recently, the animal shelter actually hosts vets or training vets, people in vet school who are learning about their craft, and they're from Texas Tech University and from Texas A&M University. So the training facility that we'll create there won't just be a Weatherford College training facility, it'll be seen by universities all around the state. So we want to make sure we do a great job of putting that together, creating a program that is top line and sustainable. So our faculty are working on the curriculum and on the program development. Our technology services people are working on the instructional technology needs, and we certainly are grateful for the city for all of the work that they're doing on making sure that's going to be an ideal location. And Mr. Curley's handling the contract, and I'm thankful not to be able to discuss that with you.
All right, are there any questions or comments to
Yes.
Mr. Indy?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
ETA?
ETA, the building will be, the plan for the building, a very ambitious schedule, but Dustin says they're on track. They hope to have that building done by the end of December, the 2 facilities. We have some major equipment to talk about, like radiology equipment that needs to go in the building as well. That's in process. Because of the way the program runs, it would be best to run on a fall semester startup. So it either starts in fall 2019, that is a very ambitious start date, and probably not realistic given the misalignment of curriculum and some of the issues we're dealing with. The fact that SACS will not talk to us about this until July. So the date we're trying to work toward and committing to doing this is fall of 2020 to hit the ground running with a fully developed program and talking about, can we work the vet assisting cohort, the first year vet tech program, and if it's feasible and reasonable, the second year cohort as well. But that remains to be seen. We aren't going to push that second year in if we can't do it as well as we need to and know that the facility will work. And so we'll rely on Dr. Garofalo to tell us about that.
Is the facility going to be at the present animal shelter?
Yes, ma'am, it is. They've got some great plans down there.
Yeah.
And when you see not only but the way that they're going to finish the building, I think you're going to be very impressed with this facility.
Did I understand you said we have applicants that are already?
Oh, there are already people in the vet assisting population that we have trained and others have trained who are eager to get involved in this program, who are taking the prerequisites, and we should be ready to hit the ground running when we're ready for them as that second year cohort.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Thank you,
this
Mr.
sounds wonderful, but I must ask the question,
Yes, sir.
and Wise County in this?
You can bring your animals to the, no. Right now, I don't mean to be flippant, Dr. Marlette.
No.
The unique opportunity of the animal shelter in conjunction with this facility is truly unique. We don't know of it anywhere else in the United States. So what makes this possible is that the animal shelter has agreed to serve not only as the surgical suite for all these animals, but as a training facility with a community college. If we had that arrangement in Wise County, I don't know that we'd duplicate the program, but I think what we would look for is other opportunities for partnerships
There you
with
go.
civic and private entities there, and we are looking into that. But this one, I think we want to leave this one in Parker County. Think
No,
it's-
I certainly hadn't had a thought about that. I was just thinking about some outreach from it.
We will
So
look at that.
if you had thought about that kind of stuff, and I'm sure you have.
Yes, sir.
He thinks about everything.
It's about everything.
I just don't do it well, but thank you.
All right, number 8,
Is
future
this gonna,
agenda.
I have one more
I'm sorry.
question. Is this gonna be large animals as well?
That's my understanding. It's,
I mean, obviously, if we're the cutting horse capital, we need to expand this. If we're not starting out, we need to, a vet tech program that can take care of large animals
Amen.
would,
this program will avail us to animals who no other vet tech programs would never see because they would be shifted out of being put into an educational clinical environment. We get the animals that show up at the animal shelter, and that's part of the reason the capture system is so important. There will be surgeries and incidents at this animal shelter that may be truly unique, and we want to share them with other professionals in the field. So I think I'm representing that accurately. So we want to look at that not only for our students, but there may be training capabilities that come out of this that other schools like ours will not have, including large animals.
I would hope that we would take this opportunity when we get this thing up and running to let the Metroplex know what we're doing out here to market this thing
That's
to the
part of
fullest.
That's part of the reason that a year to develop it fully, to me, and this is just to me, makes a lot of sense. Because if we try to push this out now, marketing it effectively becomes yet another challenge to producing the program for the fall of this year. Getting a full year in front where Dr. Garofalo and Dustin Deal can talk with Brent Baker and his staff, that's where I think we can get in front, identify target populations, and identify how to market this not only to students, but to people who will receive our students and take them into the work environment.
I agree. Worst thing you want to do is open a restaurant before you're ready, and the worst thing you want to do is start a program that you don't have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and you feel comfortable for opening the door.
I want to be clear that there's been a lot of work done on this. Dotting the I's and crossing the T's on a program like this, because of its uniqueness, is not a simple task, and the people who've been working on it have done admirable work. There's just a lot of work to do, and we're getting close to, I think, finish what we're doing, and I'm proud of the work they're doing.
Can
Thank
you
you.
imagine the recruitment power to have some students going to a high school and talk about what they do?
Yes.
It's just, it ought to be wonderful.
Dr. Farmer, future agenda items or meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next month, Dr. Cantrell will be bringing you the proposed 2019-2020 budget. We are very optimistic about the growth, not only here in Parker County, but also in Wise, and hope that we can address many of the financial challenges that we faced in various programs and salary and lab compensation and a variety of things. And so I want to applaud Dr. Cantrell, her team on the development of this budget, our faculty senate for working so well under the leadership of Tanya Edwards and helping us prioritize all of the many various and sundry needs that we have, as well as our deans, department heads, faculty members for working very diligently to become increasingly efficient and effective and saving us in labor dollars that we can then turn right back around and save the taxpayer money and put some money where it will most influence student success.
Anything else?
That is all, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any questions or comments on that? Moving to number 10, number 9. I'm trying to cut you out, Mr. Baker. Announcements, Mr. Baker.
Yes, sir. As you know, our semester is wrapping up with finals this week. As a matter of fact, today, the final day of finals. And commencement is this Saturday at the Jerry Durant Auditorium. I understand that Mr. Smith and Ms. Carter and Dr. Marlette and Mrs. Morris have all signed up to help us with those, either one of those two commencement exercises, 10 o'clock and 1:30 in the Durant Auditorium. It's always a very inspirational day. Next Thursday is our 11th annual Taste of Parker County fundraiser for the foundation. We hope you can all come. It will be from 5 to 8 at Heritage Park again. Another partnership with the city of Weatherford. We appreciate their assistance as well. Mr. Endy mentioned our corporate college event a few minutes ago. Just a reminder, that's May 22nd, the kickoff for that, 8 o'clock in the morning in the Alkek Center. And I'd like to ask President Farmer to speak about another interesting item coming up involving an area university.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. I am extremely excited to share with the board that on May 28th, the president of Hardin-Simmons University and his entourage will be joining us here at Weatherford College to sign a formal articulation agreement between our two noble institutions. Basically what this means is that Weatherford College students will be able to transfer to Hardin-Simmons and not lose any of their hours, have their hours transfer and apply towards their chosen degree plan. We will be having a private luncheon to which all of you are invited at noon on the stage of the Alkek, where Dr. Song and Leming, our artist in residence from Wise County, will be performing for our guests. Our incoming mayor, Paul Pascal, has RSVP'd to this event, as has the president of the Weatherford Chamber of Commerce, Tammy Gazzola, the president of the East Parker County Chamber, Lisa Flowers, and the director of the Parker County Economic Development Committee, Allison Baker. They've all RSVP'd. We're very excited to have some of our business and industry partners joining us to help spur both our partnerships with area universities and help to promote economic development and the growth of our business sector. So very excited. Hope that those of you whose schedules will allow you to attend can make it on May 28th at noon.
All right, thank you, Dr. Farmer and Mr. Baker. This is, it's about 3:01. We will officially end our open session, and in about 2 minutes, we will go into our closed session to cover the stated items that are listed under item 10. And with that, we will close our open session and go into a short adjournment. We'll do that in 2 minutes. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to call the open session back to order after we have adjourned our closed session. And I'll move on the agenda to item 11, consideration possible action of concerning real property. And the motion I will make concerns a letter of interest, and I'm asking the board to approve the issuance of a letter of interest between Weatherford College and North Central Council of Governments. The motion would, in effect, authorize the chairman to sign a letter of interest between Weatherford College and the North Central Texas Council of Governments concerning the lease of space in the proposed workforce center that we have been discussing at various times over the last few months. Is there such a motion?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you for that. We'll move to agenda item number 12, and that regards employee actions. And what I would request, I'll make this motion, a motion to approve the recommendation of President Farmer concerning the non-renewal of an employee, which we discussed in closed session today. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we'll go to number 13, which is adjourn.
I so move.
You move. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we're going to vote on that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.